gozaimasu. So we are here in my garden to tell you a story about Japan and the beginning of my life with bonsai, because for many years, as you know probably, I kept all of this very nice and good history how I become the bonsai professional. So if you want to hear about it, I welcome you in this few minutes or few hours of history, bonsai, and a good story. I think is a very good story to tell you. Okay, so the beginning of my life, I was born in Blachownia, in small town in south of Poland, and I grew up quite wild because my parents were working. I grew up basically with my grandparents, and it was a lot of fun at that time. There were no many devices, computers or anything, basically, because this was year 77 when I was born, and the life was very simple and very organic, I would say. And because the town was surrounded with forests, with a lot of plants, I always loved to see all the flowers and all the fields and all the trees progressing, growing and getting bigger and bigger, right? And especially that for many days of my life, I used to go to fishing, and the fishing, of course, is always surrounded with a lot of nature. Later, I discovered the beautiful flowers and the plants that were flowering is the beauty of life, is the colorful world that is nice to keep close to you. So when I was in the secondary, I remember school, on my desk that I was supposed to make homeworks, I used to keep many different flowers, of course potted flowers, watering on this on the desk. So yeah, I was studying, but the place that I really supposed to have for the homework, I kept as a small place for all the flowers. Blachownia, and especially Poland, is known from the beautiful nature and the nurseries. I had the opportunity to meet one of my friends. Well, we're all friends, all kids running around. One of my friends that she became after my girlfriend, her father had a small nursery. This nursery grows up to the big quiet nursery. His love was actually plants, potted plants, not the bonsai, but the nursery stock that he cultivate, he cut, he put in the river sand to root small cuttings, growing from seeds, graftings, mixing the soil, and I helped him. He was very generous, and every time that you go to work, he always pay you some amount. So it was funny to play with the plants, but also get some money for a bicycle, for example, right? Oh, also, at some stage, I used to grow some succulents, and it's very interesting that some of these succulents that I grow, this was 30 years ago, 25 years ago, my mom still keep in my room in Częstochowa, where they still live. So that's quite interesting that the cactus with her is still alive. And yeah, those plants were not, you couldn't really work on them. You just water, they grow. Maybe sometimes you can prune and make another new, but this was not that really interest me about the plants. And then, of course, in Poland, the information about bonsai and in general bonsai art was very poor. You need to remember that this is year 1995, 1996, that practically we don't have the access to internet. And there is a magazine, the first magazine, Kwiaty, and there are some small articles about bonsai, and that's how I think it is something like this, that what comes across, and I started to be interested in bonsai from this. And then searching for the informations, I think there was the first numbers of Academia Bonsai that was published by Polish bonsai president at that time, and the well-known person who started basically workshops and a good exposition in Poland, Włodek Pietraszko. So before I even attend the bonsai classes in Academia Bonsai, with Daria's father, we used to travel to Czech Republic, and there was a first bonsai nursery that I visited in my life. I think it was Bonsai Lipchany Piśl, and I bought the first bonsai pots. Wow, what a happiness! Imagine 25 years ago that it comes this small Chinese pot, looks like two very good bonsai pots, and then you are planning what you can plant in this small tiny pot. Again, I think maybe some of these pots I still keep in Poland at my family house with my parents. Nothing valuable, but just the memories. Like the same, I have a lot of photos. Okay, that's the beginning of bonsai. But of course, my knowledge about the trees comes by practicing, observing in Poland and working at Daria's father nursery, because that comes very handy to know physiology a little bit, plants, process of growing, process of rooting. This is very important gardening knowledge, that if you want to start with bonsai, you need to have or possess a little bit knowledge of how the trees grow normally in nature, or how the trees grow in the pots, because it's very difficult to only classify bonsai as an art and then shape it. But if you don't have a knowledge how to keep them alive, how to grow them, then it's nonsense, because once it's style, you need to have a ability to keep this bonsai for many years. That's another subject. Finally, I started to practice by myself as a self-study, with help a little bit of Daria's father, Jidek. I tried to do first bonsai, but this bonsai that I made, it looks like a pompons. It didn't have a definition. I didn't use the wire, just a little bit pruning, and they didn't really look like a bonsai. So I decided that I need to go somewhere to really learn about this beautiful art. And fortunately, I don't know how did it happen, because that's too many years ago. Finally, I stepped to the Academia Bonsai, run by Włodek Pietraszko, and he organized the workshops. You could buy some material from him, and during the weekend was possible to shape the tree. But there were the shaping was the most important part of these workshops. So we gathered with many enthusiasts. We could buy some juniperus, some pines that he had at the nursery, and of course he helped us to shape the trees. It was really interesting, very enthusiastic. I used to buy big pots, the big pots like nowadays I have a big trees. Travel 180 kilometers by train with this pot in my hands in the train. Get to the bus. From the bus, go to his nursery and stay there from Friday night till Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, I had to come back because this was already my university time. So I had to come back really home and be at the university on Monday. But the funny story is that I'm totally made mistake with the university, because for all my life, my father used to work at the building construction, as a engineer. So he always, and my family always, was surrounded with this idea that if you want to achieve something in life, you need to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, and na. It's very funny that only this stereotypical is still existing nowadays in this world, that you need to be a kind of very important person and study. Okay, technical school, 5 years, then technical university for 5 years. So after 10 years, I get the master degree from building construction, steel construction, because this was the specialization that I chose. So after 1 month, we decided to leave to Japan. But the actual trip, to understand how did it happen, we need to still come back to the beginning, into the workshops in Wrocław. So for 3 consecutive years, I used to travel from Częstochowa to Włodek, to his nursery, to study bonsai. And of course, this was possible only maybe twice a year, or I don't remember, even if it was 3 times per year. At this time, bonsai, and nowadays bonsai is a kind of not very cheap hobby, not very expensive, because now I understand that you can have 0 money and you can still do bonsai. At that time, material that was accessible, that we need to buy, that you need to buy the pots. I was just after during university, so obviously you don't have a big amount to spend, even if you work after. What I used to do, that after university I went to the nursery to work a little bit and get some extra money. So for 3, I think, consecutive years, I used to travel to Włodek. So yeah, I was studying at his nursery, but it was always about styling. At that time, I was thinking that the bonsai is only about styling, wiring, carving, and this. But I used to come back home. I put the tree at the nursery because my place, I used to live in an apartment, was very difficult in apartment to have a bonsai, all the big pots. I put them in the nursery, I water them, and most of the time the trees didn't progress. They always look poor, I always pinch. Maybe I didn't even fertilize them at that time. The soil was very old, you know, the Yamadori trees, or the trees that they were digging just from the ground. The soil was not really with the good drainage. Maybe overwatering. Many of them just die. Many of them didn't progress. I pinch all the time, that when 1 millimeter grow, I pinch, 1 millimeter grow and pinch. Of course, if the branch was not in the correct, I put them in the left, I put them in the right. And I compare my trees with the photos of the trees from that time. Was already accessible some internet. They didn't look like that. In some stage, I say, okay, when I finish university, because this was the priority at this time, that you need to finally finish and do, you know, master degree, I will pack my backpack, leave everything behind and go to Japan. But again, how you will do that without really any knowledge of Japan, any information about Japan, anything that time was not accessible. So there were not many information how you can go, how you can get to Japan, how you can be accepted at any nursery in Japan. So we made the plan that we need to contact many institutions in Japan. Or maybe let's move to the workshop and I will already show you how this process, how the letters looks like. And then in Czech Republic, it came a workshop with Marco Invernici, and I knew that he was the first full-time student at Mr. Kimura. And I decided to take a taxus. It was a multiple trunk, I remember. Taxus, drive to Czech, attend the workshop and try to get some information from him. How is possible, how you can do a trip to Japan, become a full-time apprentice, and all of these questions that I had in my head, of course. So I went there with this big taxus. It was I don't know, Yamadori, not many branches, not very, just small twigs on the branches, on the trunks. I went to the workshop and he say, okay, clean a little bit here, clean a little bit there. And that's it, because we cannot do wiring, we cannot do anything. Maybe you can do this gene, and my workshop was finished. So I was very disappointed that I expected at that time that, you know, you go with the raw material and after a few hours, he will change this material for the beautiful, amazing bonsai that you can practically exhibit in the exposition. How stupid I were at that time. I was thinking that in one day, going with the raw material, you will change everything, because it was Marco Invernizzi. You had a lot of good articles from him, and he will change your tree to the nothing like this. But it came to the situation that we make the first contact. I try to ask him how is possible to do that. Of course, he didn't answer very much. Well, the workshop finished. He attended more to the other people, but well, that's life. Now, after so many years, I understand that this taxus was absolutely impossible to do in the workshop. And first, you need to grow the long branches. That after these long branches, you can bend and shape the tree. But with the small twigs just growing from the trunk, was not possible. But good. So after that workshop, it came a little bit change, because I had the person that I could send the email, but of course he didn't answer directly. And bueno, meanwhile I was trying to get some information. We discovered that I need to contact a lot of different institutions, maybe to get them some scholarship, maybe that they can support me, maybe they can give me some informations. Japan-Poland Society in Kansai Center, Japan-Poland Society in Nagasaki, Polish Cultural Association Hokkaido,
Japan-Poland Miyochi Foundation, Kyoto Kraków Association, Japan-Poland Friendship Association,
and many more. And I still have all of these institutional addresses that I sent them 29 October, all the letters, and I didn't receive even one answer. So, you know, I spent so much time just to looking for the institutions that maybe could help you, and no one answered. How depressing is this, that for so many, that those institutions should help someone, right? To at least go to Japan. Nothing happened. Okay, so I continue with Marco Invernizzi, and he answered, okay, but before you go to Japan, and I asked only about the address. This was another funny things that basically I asked Marco about the address to Mr. Kimura, and at that time, like I say, it was not possible to find anything on the internet, where, how, na. And he sent me 10 questions. Now I understand his point of view. You know, at this time was absolutely different. So he sent me the 10 questions. Dear Marco, this is the letter. I still kept everything what I wrote. Here you have information. A letter with the pencil. With the pencil, eh? Who nowadays is writing letters by hand? I think nobody. The answer is not easy. Your dream is big as mine, but from my point of view, it's too big, too far away for the moment. Japan is expensive. Japan is very far. Japanese speak Japanese, not English, but you need to speak English very well. My English was almost zero. Japan is not easy. The bonsai world in Japan is very difficult, and be a pupil in even more difficult. And Kimura is the most difficult master in Japan. And this sentence, I don't want to push you down, I want to help you, but first of all, I want to open your eyes. You don't need letter of anybody, you need first speak Japanese, you need the map, blah, 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 okay. Bueno, this was the only a small introduction, and then comes to the I came to the questionnaire, but what I answered to him, it was, I'm very determined to do everything to achieve my dream, learning bonsai in Japan. No mercy.